Most of us are lucky enough to have 10 fingers, and this video is meant to help you keep them. All around the workshop, there's tools that, when well used, will let you keep them. Here's 10 tricks that I follow religiously as a 10-fingered human. One of the most confusing tools, safety-wise, in the shop is the router, and even more when you flip it over with the router table. Your right hand is designed like a router bit. When you point your thumb in the direction of the bit, the direction your fingers curl and point is the direction the router bit spins. If we look closer at a router bit, you'll see that the cutting edge is what hits the piece following the rotation. This is also the direction you want to be going. When doing outside edges like this means counterclockwise. When you're doing the inside of a frame or a circle like this, you're going to go clockwise, as you can see with the right hand trick. To show how this makes sense, let's check the router table. Now the thumb is pointing up, so our bit is turning like this. Push the pieces from the right and you'll get the same result. Doing it wrong will have your piece right the bit and shoot out violently from the other side, which is a good way to lose a finger or two. When making big holes with a Forstner bit, if you ever tried, you'll know that it becomes super hot, and without a ton of power behind it, you're going to get burn marks and poor results. By hogging out most of the material first with a drill bit, but avoiding the middle where the Forstner bit will be cutting first, you're going to save a lot of time and get great non-burnt results. Now that most of the stuff is gone, let's try the Forstner bit. As you can see, it still needs to go slow, but it gave me great results without biting into the wood, spinning the piece around, hurting myself in the process. When cutting round objects like a dowel on the bandsaw, it can seem safe to do so with your hands, but what often ends up happening is the piece tries to spin, then gets locked into the teeth of the blade, and you'll get a violent kickback. Always use a clamp like this, which are cheap and easy to use. By setting it on a flat surface like this, you're going to get straight cuts. Here's how thin I can go, without any worry about the dowel flying off with one of my fingers. Often, when doing splines or other fine work, you'll want multiple really thin cuts, and you could be thinking that bringing the fence real close will make this easy, and it might. There's a high chance, a very high chance, that the piece will come flying back at you as you finish cutting, and they come out super violently. The solution to this is an easy to make jig, a thin rib jig. Place it like this, push the bolt to where you want to cut, from the end of the blade to the bolt. You'll need to adjust your fence for each cut. This is where a good fence like this DeWalt one comes in handy. Here's a few identical cuts made really fast, safely. When cutting a short piece on the Mitre saw, I never want my fingers anywhere close to the blade. Not being 100% sure that the piece won't twist or do something unexpected, bringing my fingers into the danger zone. I've started using the edge of a piece of wood, and before doing my cut, I confirm that the piece is nice and firmly held, which means that the cut will go smooth, and if not, my fingers are safe. I've been doing this for all my cuts, and using a push stick won't get you the same firm hold that the edge of a board will. On the drill press, when you want to do a hole on basically anything else than a simple board, you're going to want a clamp to avoid precision errors, but worse, injury, due to the piece spinning or worse, hitting somehow the bit with your hands. As per most tools, keeping your hands far away is the solution, and I've got two types of clamps for this. The first one is the best solution, a clamp made for drill presses that I hold onto the base with a C-clamp. Not everyone wants a specific clamp for their drill press, so my second solution, nearly as good, uses a simple plastic clamp that we all have, and this wooden clamp that I used earlier on the bandsaw. Just clamp it down on your base of the drill press, similar to what I did with the previous one, and you have a firm hold on your piece and your fingers are far from the danger zone. When cutting thin cuts on the table saw or the miter saw, one problem that can happen is them falling down into the plate, spinning or shooting back out somehow, creating danger. One quick way to do this and to avoid having to buy a second zero clearance plate is to simply use painter's tape as such. In addition to being safer, it will give you cleaner cuts, avoiding most of the tear out. See how thin I can go and the pieces stay right there, creating no danger. When preparing blanks to make bowls on the lathe, you can cut the corners right on the lathe with tools, but as you can see, it's a dangerous spinning item and lots of work to get done. Instead of using lathe tools, take a pencil and trace a circle, letting the lathe rotation do the work. Now take it off the lathe and you can cut close to the line and get a perfectly centered and almost balanced piece. You can now turn the piece as usual, but having skipped the most dangerous and tedious part. When using the table saw, joiner, and most other saws like a circular saw, stopping mid-cut can create danger and is more likely to affect the quality than if you don't. On the table saw, stopping can create kickback, and if the piece climbs up on the blade, it'll shoot back at you. With a bit of practice, the piece will never even slow down and keep going in a single motion. This avoids a lot of kickbacks and will show as a better quality, less marking on your cut. This tip is for the joiner, but also the router table. When you have to push a piece through from right to left, usually the machine comes with those push pads that use friction to hold on to the piece. This is fine for the first one on the left, but for the second one on the right, I much prefer this kind of push block with an end that grabs onto the piece. It's easy to make one if you prefer not buying something like this, but personally I love it and will keep using it likely forever. This kind of push block lets me keep constant pressure on the piece without having to put my weight on it like a usual friction pad would require, leaving me more balanced on my feet and ready to react to potential danger. I hope those tips help you keep your 10 fingers, or however many left you have. Woodworking is super fun, satisfying, but it's easy to forget about injury and do things dangerously. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and have fun building safely. See you next time.